So just some ideas. When we're talking about systems, it could just be a checklist, right?
Correct.
A checklist is something that helps people to follow a process or a procedure and make sure they're doing every step. Welcome to Breaking Down Your Business, episode 337. You can find the show notes to this episode at breakingdownyourbusiness.com/337. Hi, Jill.
Hey, Brian.
I'm Brad from Anchor Advisors.
And I'm Jill from the Founding Moms.
And we've got a sponsor for this episode.
Do we now?
So, Jill, how much do you know about employment law?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
You went to law school, you know nothing about employment law.
I know nothing about employment law.
How are small business owners supposed to figure out employment law if they didn't even go to law school?
Thankfully, we have an incredible sponsor called Comply Right.
Comply Right?
That's offering a 6-course freebie to educate you on employment stuff regarding your business. I know. So if you're a business owner, chances are you're juggling many HR tasks and you're trying to keep up with the ever-changing employment laws. They're changing all the time.
Yep.
HR 101 from Comply Right is a free online training program that'll give you a solid understanding of employment law so you can handle typical workplace issues like a pro.
This is completely free?
Yeah. I'm just going to list to you some of the courses that they offer. General legal obligation for employers.
Important.
Recruiting and hiring.
Hard.
Classifying workers correctly.
Complicated.
Yeah. Managing your employees. Preventing
Tricky.
workplace harassment.
Yikes.
And discipline and termination. So I'm going to send you to complyright.com/courses. It's totally free. Go there right now. Do the thing.
Wow. Jill, we're talking about building systems.
It sounds slightly less boring considering what we did last episode, but I'm still slightly bored.
Well, here's the question. What does having systems mean for your business?
Actually, it's starting to sound really great because if I had only systems in my business, I would have to do a lot less.
See?
Yeah. Systems to me means organizing the stuff you need to do in a process that's easily replicable. Does that sound like I just read it?
It does.
But I didn't.
You totally made that up.
I just made that up.
And the only thing I would add to that, because that was an excellent definition.
I don't know where that came from.
The thing I would add to that is so that they can happen without you touching them.
Ooh.
I think,
like that
right?
addition.
Like the very best systems
really
are actually The very best systems are actually automation, right? If I can get a computer to do things.
So yes, but I think we disagree there because you get very excited about automation.
I do get excited about automation.
I have had automation ruin lots of things for
Well,
me.
we can talk about that in another episode.
I think you care less when it ruins things for you, and I care greatly.
Yeah.
So I don't love automation.
I want things to get done without me doing anything.
I would love that, but I want human being interaction with the systematizing, and that's as far as I want to go into automation.
Okay.
Meaning other human beings, not me.
Right.
Yeah.
I want no human beings. If the whole thing could run without any human beings, I'm totally down with that.
I like to hire humans and pay them. Whatever. That also scares me.
What are some things that you
Mr.
have
Ford.
systems for?
I have systems for lots of things now. It's very excellent. I have systems for onboarding leaders for our founding exchanges
Yes, that's
in different
an excellent
cities.
thing to have a system for.
It's something people told me to have for years.
So
and
what
I
does
was
that
like, I
system
don't
look
need
like?
it.
Is that just a Google Doc and a checklist?
Absolutely not. It's much more complicated now. It's a Google Doc. It's a checklist. It's a virtual assistant who walks through most of the doc. It is a type form. I love type forms. It's a form. And there's one other piece to it that I'm not remembering right now because I'm not involved.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Isn't that great? Which brings me to a point I was going to make later. But once you have someone operating a system, it's their job to maintain it.
That's now how I set it up. I have a new system for, let's say it's social media posting.
Yep.
The system assumes in the Founding Moms that somebody else is doing it, not me.
Yes.
So I love creating them now so much.
I have a system for sending out monthly invoices.
Ooh, what's your system?
Well, I have a bookkeeper, and
That's your system.
No. I have a spreadsheet that has all the customers and when they need to be billed. She confirms that that's correct.
Yes.
We say yes. She sends out the invoices.
Yep.
The money shows up in my bank account. Happy dances are done.
Yeah,
that's on the checklist.
So I was going to keep going. We have an onboarding system for bringing leaders on to the founding exchanges. We have an entire system for when we are, or how and why and where and when we're creating graphics and social media stuffs for launching said exchanges. We have a whole system for how to get people to join our online community. Lots of, in my mind, it's like lots of different checklists going on.
Right. It's things that you're going to do more than once.
Yeah.
And so you want to make them have them done in a consistent way.
And
so,
it's fun to be refining said checklists and ways that the system is supposed to work, because you can build a system and then once you go through it, you go, oh, wait, we don't need that step. Or, oh, wait, we need to add this step, and it gets better and better.
I have a system for how we publish a podcast.
That's right, we do.
Yeah.
That's right. Thank you for coming up with said system.
Right.
I really don't. That's how good I am. I was just like, Brad, wink, and there was a system.
And so systems are good because, A, it gets things off your plate. Stuff gets done, right? But B, it gets done in a way that you know that the quality is good, right? And if you're noticing the quality isn't good, then you can go to people and say, okay, what part of the system did you not follow?
Can you talk about the system for this podcast for a minute so we can really illustrate how it's so helpful?
So we record podcasts.
We do.
Right? And we have a VA who creates the graphics. So those graphics go to our producer so that they can get embedded into the audio file.
Sure.
He sends the audio files back to her.
Right.
She listens to them and creates the show notes.
Correct.
Puts all of that into WordPress or whatever.
Who knows?
Right. And then she uploads that to
Libsyn.
Right, which is the RSS feed that feeds into iTunes. And she does all of those steps without me knowing about any of them.
And I didn't know any of this. So that's the beauty of this all. But I want to point out for people listening, in the context of this podcast being a business, you and I are doing the thing that is the most important.
That's right.
And because I'm not uploading to Libsyn or creating art, I can focus on sounding my best, which is usually never, on this podcast, and you come up with amazing content, and we really do a much better job on this podcast, I think, than other podcasts in the way of coming up with good substance. Well, because we're not so distracted.
Right. And it doesn't become a big chore to publish a podcast. Like, we come in and record, and we come back a month later and record. And that's the only part of it that we have to do.
Well, I was going to drill down and say that's not, because we still come up with topics.
Yes,
we
that's
discuss
true.
Titles.
Right.
We have to come up with which numbers go where with which titles.
Yeah.
But you're saying, but these are tiny little things that are the things that don't annoy us enough to hand them off.
But they are also in the system. So we have a Google Doc where we record the episode number and the topic and the guest and all those things so that the VA can pick that up and put it into the graphics and the show notes and all that.
And we both still talk all the time about the overarching, where do we want this to go?
Yeah.
Let's talk about sponsors, etc.
Right, and then sponsorship is a whole different thing.
Well, that's a whole other system that I handle that's also systematized and doesn't get in the way of doing this.
Right.
But just to point out that we also strategize, to put that visor on, we still strategize about how we want to do this and where we want to go. And
that's
we
right.
always hope for more iTunes reviews.
Right.
Yeah. BreakingDownYourBusiness.com/iTunes.
So just some ideas. When we're talking about systems, it could just be a checklist, right?
Correct.
A checklist is something that helps people to follow a process or a procedure and make sure they're doing every step.
Correct. Although the system can't be a checklist alone. It has to be functioning. It has to happen.
But in terms of what we create in order to create a system.
Yes, correct.
It could be a Google Doc with some screenshots.
Yep.
It could be a video. Sometimes I've made a little screen capture of my desktop to show somebody how to do something.
I, in fact, am a person who usually goes into Excel, Google Excel, to create it because there are already cells there, and I just have to put one thing into each box.
You mean Google Sheets?
That's what I mean. What did I say? Who cares? I click the right button to get to that.
Yes.
And I put things in order.
Yes.
But I actually love your method when I see other people do it. I don't do it. Of the screenshots.
Yeah.
Because it really helps visualize, okay, this is the thing that happens next. Because you'd be surprised how many people infer steps into a checklist.
Yes.
Shocking.
Or, check the box that says, whatever it is, safe for kids. I don't remember what. Not explicit content. We uncheck the box that says explicit content. There are a lot of boxes to check. I don't
know what you're talking about.
In Libsyn, when you upload it, you have to tell them whether it's explicit or not.
I didn't know.
Right? And so we have to uncheck that box. But it's on a page that has a billion boxes to check. So doing a screenshot and having a little highlight that says, this is the box, helps people to not have to look around.
Helpful. Yes, agreed.
So you get... If you have a checklist or procedure, you get more consistent performance. You don't have to check up all the time, right? And so one of the steps on our checklist is send Brad an email that says, it's done. So then I don't have to worry, did it get done or not? Because I get a report that says this thing got done.
And you can automate those emails to yourself through
Sure.
Zapier
Yep.
or other places.
Yep.
By the way, I think everything we're talking about, because we're talking about it at such length, is making systematizing sound exhausting and like a whole other job, and you often have to check in on it. You do have to carve some time out to create the checklist. But to be perfectly frank, as somebody who for years said, I have no time for this. Brad, you're crazy. I'm not going to systematize. It's a lot of fun.
It saves you so much time.
It just puts the whole thing in order for you and lets
Yes.
you focus on, we've been doing that
Yes.
for a long time?
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
Delete.
When I go to write a procedure, sometimes I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. We shouldn't do it
I
like
think
this.
you say that sentence often.
I do
to be
actually say
perfectly
it
frank.
often.
A lot makes no sense.
And so we should stop doing those things.
But you've been doing it for years, and so
Right.
it has made sense to some degree in your brain.
Well, because you're not thinking about it. You're just kind of going
you're not thinking
through
about it in an order
Yes.
or a sequence.
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
The other thing about systems that I love is that, I don't know if you've noticed this, maybe it doesn't happen to you, but sometimes people quit.
What do you mean doesn't happen to me? Of course people quit.
Well, that's, I was being...
yeah, they leave. Oh, it was so funny.
So when people quit and you have to hire someone new, the system helps you to go back and
Oh,
be like,
dude, it
I
sucks
don't know
if you
how.
don't have one.
Oh my God. It's like, what does this person do again? Oh, that's right. There's
That's
a checklist.
literally been my job for the last 10 years. That's the story of my life.
And then...
Let me
and-
restart from scratch.
And then you can train the new person into that process or into that checklist so that they're not starting from scratch and you're not like making things up. And it just makes the transition so much easier.
It's the worst / best when you have a system. And even if you have a system, the new person's still going to have all kinds of interesting questions that will help
Right.
inform you about how to tweak the system.
Right, that's true.
Yeah.
But I think that I have certain clients that they get so upset when someone quits. And I think it's because they haven't captured the knowledge and information that person has into some kind of process or system.
To be honest, when you're saying that right now, and in my mind, I'm going, I kind of love that because it gives me a fresh start attitude for a role that maybe sucked so badly that person quit and I need to redo.
There was actually a person who's in the business that I'm in who published a blog post about the benefits of turnover. Like, all the good things.
I do think there is a lot.
Right, because you look at things again that you
Right.
haven't looked at in a
I
while.
love that.
And you see things that
Yeah.
you should have seen.
Fresh start.
Yeah.
Love that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Jill, how do people go about getting started making some systems for themselves?
I think you need to go get a Google Excel sheet in front of you because that's not what it's called. And I think, you know what? I'm going to go back to the sticky note 3x5 card suggestion.
Okay.
If you have something you know that needs a system, you have
Which
something
is,
you do
to be
repeatedly.
honest, right, something you're doing repeatedly, and you kind
There's
of
more than 2 steps.
you avoid it, you're dread it, it's something you don't enjoy.
And it's, yes, you just sigh and
Yeah.
you're like, okay, I have to go do these 3 things and it takes up too much time, so I'm going to push it off. That's a system. That's a system right there. Take your sticky notes, stick them on the wall next to you. Put step 1. Oh no, I have to go look for a photo. Step 2. I have to upload said photo to this stupid place. Step 3. I have to go to that place and insert all kinds of tags or whatever the heck your thing is that you're doing. And then once you have the system in a vertical line next to you on the wall, you can transfer that to a sheet, send it to a VA, and say, go.
Yeah. And actually, one of the coaches that I've been working with lately, her thing is just throw it at the VA and let them create a system.
I was actually going to add. And then see what happens.
Right. It sounds ridiculous, but if you're working with a pretty inexpensive VA,
Yeah.
just like record yourself talking about this problem, send it to them, and let them figure out what system works for them. They document it. They make the Google Doc.
In fact, I wanted to systematize a phone exchange that we do with leaders on a regular basis. I had the VA video record her FaceTime or whatever she used to call, Zoom, I don't know.
Right. Zoom.
To send to me so I could watch her process and we could systematize the conversation she has over and over again. We found like 5 holes. She added some stuff that I loved that I never would have told her. And we just basically refined something that would happen anyway and created a system from it. So you could record.
Yeah, exactly. Collaboration is okay. You
Yeah.
don't have to do this all yourself.
Correct.
Awesome.
I think it is awesome. And I hope you all systematize. And if you're not, or you're like, but how do you systematize this weird thing I do? Call us 708-872-7878 or go to breakingdownyourbusiness.com/iTunes and leave a review about how terrible or awesome this idea has been. We crushed it.